Hello and welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole and we have another Mole Thoughts video for you today where we are talking about Total Warhammer 3, the Immortal Empires update. I have been able to play this whole update for over a week now, plus the new Chaos Lords, but we will not talk about them today. And I have been only focusing on the Immortal Empires, and the biggest question is, how is it? Is it good? Well, a few things before we jump in. First things first, you will see technical issues here in my video. You will probably notice that the FPS is not great, and we will definitely have to talk about the technical side of things because, oh boy. But let me say something right at the beginning. Immortal Empires is the best way of experience Total Warhammer. It is just the best. If you don't know what it does, it's pretty simple. It takes Total Warhammer 1, Total Warhammer 2, and Total Warhammer 3 as games and put them together into one large game. Now you might ask, wait, you make a review on a free update? Huh? Why would you do that? Because, well, it's technically not free. You need all three games, not the DLCs, but all the three games to make it happen. And that is a buying decision for some people. So, how is it? Well, as I said, it is the best experience. It feels like this is what Total War Warhammer should have been from the beginning. Like, it finally feels like the total experience where you have every faction and empire in the game, and they're just duking it out on a huge map, and it is fun, it's exhilarating, it gives you so many possibilities, and it is the real experience you want for Warhammer Total War. It's as simple as that. But, with that said, it's a beta. And that they called it a beta was a smart thing to do, because unfortunately, the version I have been playing for over a week is coming with a lot of caveats, a lot of small issues, and then some pretty big ones. So let's jump into it. First things first, what they have been doing is they have taken most of the starting positions of all the races and recalibrated them. Because now they're basically putting like 4 main factions together in a small area, and you're immediately in war mode. Yes, there is like 1 or 2 weak factions in all this like fighting mode, but it's not like in the previous Total War games where you are starting out, you are starting to taking over some of the weaker empires, you grow your empire, and then you are starting to fight other bigger empires when you have been growing a little bit. This is not the case anymore. As I said, you are now starting next to like 3 main factions immediately on the map, and everyone has it out for you. Everyone wants to take you over because they don't have the space. So you have those mini battle royales going on where 4 factions are going into an area and one is coming out victorious, right? And the others just disappear. And so that means that you are into some real trouble because, as you know, like some factions are pretty good in early game, some other factions are pretty shitty in the early game, and it takes a while till you can start out. And even I had some moments where I had to think like, whoa, I have over 1,000 hours in this game, and even I had some starting moments where I started sweating. Because there is a lot of pressure being around you immediately. Another thing which is very important is the strength ranking, right? There's this military ranking you are in automatically. And because you are starting out with around 272 factions on the map, even like 1 unit more or 1 army more can catapult you on that strength ranking by like 40 points. And it is very important because a lot of the AI players are making war decisions on your military strength. So let's say you have a strength rating of like 140, right? And the AI is 120 on the strength ranking, and they will immediately declare war on you because you're weak for them. But in reality, that's not the case, because they have one unit more, or one unit is a tier 2 instead of a tier 1 unit, and because there are so many factions on the map, this is why this huge discrepancy in military strength is happening on this ranking system. So the AI cannot really work with that. Like, they are actually failing working with this military strength. And so what I have a lot is tons of AI enemies declaring war on me, sometimes even continents away, or I haven't really met yet, because they think they are so much stronger than me. Then we have a fight and I completely obliterate them. So that strength military thing, which worked a little bit, is now completely useless. Speaking of useless, let's talk about the faction specifics. You know that every faction has something special going for them, and sometimes every lord has something special going on for them. They made huge sweeping changes. Like, serious, all-changing changes. Let me give you an example here. Skaven. I've been playing the Skaven a lot, and if you have played the Skaven in the second game, you know how it works. You need food, you need to expand, because your Skaven are becoming bigger and bigger, and more hungry, and they need more food. And all the old areas you have conquered before, they're slowly but surely succumbing to the Skaven, and the natural resources are depleting, and you have to move on at some point, because you need more resources, you need more food for your billions and billions of Skavens. Now, the food system is still in there. You still need food, but it's not a problem anymore. It doesn't really deplete anymore in the areas you have conquered, and it wasn't really a thing anymore for me. I was always at like 200 plus food all the time, and I was using the food. I was using the food on every moment, like to increase my unit strength, to like build more stuff. Like, I was using food whenever I could, and thankfully, like, I didn't really notice a difference, which of course is a little bit unfortunate because it takes away from the actual play style of the Skaven. Same thing, they apparently completely reworked the slave system for the Dark Elves. They also completely reworked how the Northscars are working. Like, the Northscars, I think, got the biggest changes. Like, they completely reworked the Northscar / Chaos Warriors, and I think it makes sense when you were playing the Immortal Empires, but it's also a little bit unfortunate that some of the special characteristics some of the factions had are not really that important anymore, right? Another big change they made is unit balance, and oh boy, I don't want to say it's all over the place right now, but it is problematic. So what they did, when you have played the previous Total Warhammer games, it's pretty simple. You have your tier 1 units, your tier 2 units, and your tier 3 units, and you're gradually upgrading your units to the next stronger tier. And you have your tier 1 units for the first 10 to 15 rounds maybe, and then you are moving over to the tier 2, and then at some point you are getting more tier 3 units into your ranks. Well, I can tell that's not the case anymore. Right now, you are sticking with your tier 1 units for quite a while. Like, tier 1 is something you are keeping around for like 30, 40 rounds before you are really starting on making big strides into tier 2. And then something weird happens. I had moments, and I kid you not, where I finally unlocked my first tier 2 units, and I was like, yes, tier 2 achieved. And also tier 3? Wait, what? Like, sometimes the same unit is also available as a tier 3 unit, and the difference is not better stats or anything, it's just a variation, and because of the variation it's a tier higher. Like, it seems like they completely have redone how the tier system works. And again, Tier 1 units are now sticking with you so much longer. They are now becoming the core of your army. It's not just like, oh, I have achieved tier 2, well, then I'm upgrading to tier 2, right? No, it's more like, okay, does this make sense? Does it work in my army? And do I want this tier unit instead? Right? It's very different, and it will take some getting used to for a lot of people, right? And I'm not even saying it's better than the old system. I think it will be better at some point, but right now it feels wonky. Again, you have too many moments where you are knocking tier 2 units, and it's just like, oh, they don't really fit in what I'm doing here in my army. And that also has, by the way, huge repercussions for the auto fights. I had too many, and I really mean too many fights, where the game is telling me, oh yeah, this will be a loss. You will lose everything. The enemy will barely lose anything because they have more tier 2 units than you have, and you are done so. Don't even try it. I do the fight manually, and I'm devastating the enemy. I was like, what? How did you calculate this? I had this with the Skaven actually a few days ago, where I fought against the Wood Elves, and the Wood Elves should have had me devastated, completely eradicated. Most of the Wood Elves didn't even manage to get close to my army because all my range units just eradicated them from afar, and then the rest did my melee units. I won big time. It's like, wow, how did you calculate this? Especially with tier 1 units, auto-attacking a castle at the beginning or a city at the beginning is, if you're doing an auto-attack thingy, you will lose a lot, and it calculates it so much harsher than it should do. So they have to do a lot of work here. But again, with all this said, it is still the best experience. You have the whole Warhammer world, things are happening all the time, and it is really fun. I really enjoy this. But there is one last thing I have to talk about. And unfortunately, it's the technical side of things, because it is rubbish. I'm running a high-end system, and my GPU is a 2080 Super. Anything but bad. But on the strategy map, no matter what I'm doing, my GPU is always at 90% usage. If I'm going into a fight, it goes down to like 40 to 50%. The moment I'm back on the strategy map, up to 90%. It gets even crazier. You see this in the background happening right now, that the next round is getting calculated. That's the moment where my GPU is falling down to 20% usage. And I'm not playing on the highest graphics settings here. As you might have noticed, I'm playing in Full HD instead of 4040p. I have lowered a lot of the graphics, and it doesn't do jack shit. It doesn't do anything, and the performance is absolutely horrible on the strategy map. And I know what you might say. Hey, wait a second. Didn't they have a similar problem when Total Warhammer 3 came out? Yeah, they did. And thankfully, through patches, they fixed it. And now it's back worse than ever. And on Full HD, which you are seeing here in the video, it looks rubbish. I don't know what this is, but on Full HD, the game looks like a pixel mess. And no, that shouldn't be the problem. Like, even with sharpening and whatnot, it still looks messy. I really hope that there will be like a big patch when the game will be available tomorrow, or the update will be available tomorrow, and all those issues I've just mentioned will disappear. But right now, it's rough. It's really, really rough. And again, of all the gameplay stuff we talked about, there are a few rough moments here and there. And I can just say I'm glad that they called it a beta. But I also have to say, whoa, if you want a good experience, do not play Immortal Empires when it comes out tomorrow. Don't. Just continue to play your normal Warhammer 3 or play the other games instead. If you cannot look beyond all the things I have mentioned, this will be an abysmal experience for you. And again, good news, they will fix this over months. And I'm pretty sure that by the end of the year, yes, end of the year, we will actually get a pretty good product, but in good old Creative Assembly fashion. The first version of that new product is riddled with issues and smaller things they have to iron out. Again, glad that they called it a beta, because it's really that. It's not the full out fleshed product, and they have to fix it. But when they are done with all of this, it will be the best Warhammer experience in the Total War series you ever had. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, I would appreciate if you leave a like. If you're new to the channel, you want to see more guides, reviews, reaction videos to big gaming shows and announcements. I'm a huge Warhammer and especially Warhammer 40k fan. If you were interested in more of those videos and some other stuff, I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to click the bell icon, because we are streaming here on YouTube from Monday to Friday, starting at 8 a.m. ET, which is 1 p.m. UK time and 2 p.m. Central European time. And so you are getting notified whenever I'm going live, playing all the newest games, like we played Immortal Empires here a week before the actual release. So if you want to see sometimes some early access fun with new games coming out, you came to the right channel. With that said, stay safe and see you next time.